What's going on? Welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to talk to you about NIO. Give you a quick overview of some of the data points, what's moving it, and go over everything else you need to know. But first, make sure you guys hit that thumbs up. And with that, let's get right to it. So NIO is down 1.64%, 417 the low, 428 the high. So another bloodbath day across the board. So NIO's kind of getting hit by that, alongside just the technicals are breaking down. And there's one thing that I did want to bring up that I think is somewhat not really good for the sentiment for NIO. But within the first 30 minutes of the trading day, 3.9 million shares being traded. So you can already tell today is going to be a fairly low volume day, because majority of the volume usually comes in that first hour of the trading day. But no actual news associated to NIO, no SEC filings, no data coming from China to really bring up, and nor even the States. So it's kind of just piggybacking off of the broader market. And as far as right now, there is no registration numbers. I believe it's a holiday or a festival, so maybe that will be pushed to tomorrow possibly. But again, I guess I was under the impression that it would be coming out today, but still, we'll just have to wait 1 day or 2 days or whenever else. But aside from that, though, there was one thing that did come out, and that was associated to ownership. So in my videos, I always go over pretty much what big money is doing, and especially 2024, I started to really ramp up and do more and more NIO videos. And obviously, I'm sure a lot of you are been able to catch on, be like, hey, no big transactions on the secondary market, blah blah blah. That's a very common thing that's been happening for NIO, just the fact that nobody cares about it, and nobody really wants to buy it. But based on now, since 2024 is concluded, majority of the entities have submitted their 13Fs. It has kind of signaled that this is the lowest institutional ownership since pretty much 2019. So as of right now, going over here, they dropped 85.71%. So that is quite insane. So right now, 190.22 million is held by institutions, 48.26 by strategic entities. This article, I think it talks on how it's at 250 or something like that. That's just because they group the strategic entities and institutions together. But all in all, it's definitely not a good sign. Typically, I like to see the inverse happen, because I know no offense to retail, but retail, they kind of act like sheep. So if there's a sell-off, they panic and then they sell off. Big money, they actually can move stocks if they really did want. So you actually want to usually target those kind of companies that they're focusing on. But yeah, retail looks like they did increase quarter over quarter, 9.03%. And then yeah, institutions selling off is not a good sign. But aside from that, though, you have shorts returning today. So 345,000 shares is being returned. 12.01% of the free float is being shorted. Works out to be 160.45 million shares overall are being shorted. So they're taking advantage of the algorithmic trading that's happening already, really suppressing NIO. And normally what does happen in NIO's case is the first half of the trading day, this is where, if any institutions do their transactions, that's when that occurs alongside shorts. That's when they're most active. Then the algos kind of take over. But it's starting early, like I said, with lower volume. So it seems to be just very hollow today. So that's not good for technicals. So that's it is what it is. But shorts are kind of taking advantage of the scenario and returning. Utilization is 100%, and then through IBKR, it does indicate roughly around 650,000 shares is available to be shorted. So they could be returning because of that. And actually, it just looks like it changed to now they're returning only 156, meaning they did increase a little bit. So aside from all that fun stuff, looking at the options, 246,000 in calls, 164 in puts, 51% of all the options being done are optimistic in nature. And so today, based on everything, it seems to be most likely it'll be around the same dollar value as yesterday, sitting at probably like 5.4. But of the call options that are being purchased, there still is a very strong consensus for it to be above $5. So you got to give it to the bulls out there, very optimistic. But at the same time, you got to give it to the bears. They are also equally as persistent, so they do feel that sub $4 is kind of the benchmark. So it's right now where NIO is at. There's a little bit more upside anticipated, but still it's kind of level ground right now. And right now with it at $4.21, it is right below this S1. So $4.25 is going to be that key one to really get back over. As I said in my video yesterday, it did do fairly well and it was able to get above that, and that obviously signaled that it wanted to kind of move higher. But just watch for 425 for it to recover above that and hopefully close above that today. $4 is going to be the next strong support, and that's been tested a couple times, but that's been diamond support. So that's, at least you can rely on that for the most part. So for the foreseeable future, just watch for that 425. That's going to be the key one to really watch for. Aside from that, no new analyst ratings, nothing along those lines. So last one was done 7 days ago, as I brought up. If you do want all this information to be completely free, take a look at IBKR, link in the description below and also the comments. So sign up and you have access to all this information, a lot of good information, analyst ratings, forecasts, ownership, everything under the sun. But as of right now, let's kind of look at the chart itself. So you have $4.23 is that ALMA. So it's slightly down, 1 cent below that right now. That 50-day moving average sitting at $4.48. So in order for it to continue this good momentum that it's been somewhat building over the last 3 trading days, it needs to close above that 425 and then test that 50-day moving average. And if it's able to get above that, then this is where in theory you could see like a 20 or 30% push higher from there. So let me know your thoughts on NIO. Are you buying? Are you selling? Are you surprised by this? I'm not really, because of, like I said, the data that I bring up. It's been very clear that big money has not been paying attention to it, doesn't really care, isn't buying the dips. But I'm sure this news is somewhat surprising to a lot of individuals, just given the PS ratio, so like how cheap essentially NIO is, and in comparison to even like its peers in China, or even better yet in America. But I know you don't really like comparing that apples to oranges essentially. But yeah, let me know your thoughts on NIO. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up and subscribe. I always greatly appreciate that. One final thing, pop over to my Patreon. I did launch it roughly around 2 months ago. Many bangers out there, so a lot of big hits. So pop over there and take a look. I give buy signals on stocks, options, and crypto on a side note. With all that, appreciate all of you watching.